Hello folks, Rob MaximumRD here. The camera is just balancing on the edge of my computer case door, so hopefully it doesn't fall. But anyways, here is a package. This is a package from a relative, my nephew Stuart. Just received. He just emailed me the other day to let me know it was on its way, and it came incredibly fast. Now, I know what's in it. Well, no, I'm not going to say obviously. He could have sent me a surprise, but not in this case. I'm aware of this. Now, let me show you what he sent. Something really cool. The thing about Stuart, like myself, we're really into technology and computers and the latest thing. And one of the things that we've really been interested in lately is the technology of SSD drives. That's a solid state drives, the ones that are much faster. Basically, you have no moving parts in a solid state drive, and just like the memory chips or RAM inside of your computer, it's pretty much the same concept, except they're repackaged into a traditional hard drive interface. And I upgraded my desktop a little while ago just to try out an SSD drive. I had heard so many good things read about it, how fast it was. Now, of course, a lot of you are going to say, yeah, I hear how great SSDs are, but I just don't want to make the jump right now. They're so expensive. But right now, you know, SSDs are pretty much at an all-time low. And the big trick is, right now you do not get an SSD for data storage. I know you're thinking, what? What I mean by that is you get it basically just for your operating system. Now, don't get me wrong, if you've got money flowing out of your pockets and money is no object, then by all means grab a 250 gig, a couple 250 gig drives for storage, whatever you want to do. But unfortunately, that doesn't describe me. But even myself, someone who's financially challenged somewhat, I could not resist the allure of an SSD drive. So as I said, I upgraded my desktop with a 60 gig drive, and I use it just as my operating system, my boot drive, and really with a full install of the operating system, Windows 7 64-bit, completely up to date, Office, all my editing tools for video, all my favorite utilities, apps, etc. I still managed to bring the full install down to, what was it now? I think it was about, well, let's see here, out of 55.8 gigabyte, that's the total capacity shown in Explorer on my C drive, 23 gigabyte of that is still free. Now that's not too bad, I think. You know, 23 gigabyte free of a 55.8, 60, you know how they, Windows plays around with your storage numbers. That's not too bad, and well worth it. I will say to anybody now, in my opinion, even if you just get it for your operating system as your boot drive, just a small drive, get an SSD, because I promise you, from general use to backups to imaging your operating system, which is something I like to do, you will not regret getting an SSD now. So anyways, on that note, going back to the package that I've opened, and you may have seen me tinker here, he has sent me what I knew he was going to send me. First of all, a 40 gig SSD. He had an extra one lying around, and it's funny how we can be, isn't it? Like, I'm the type, when somebody offers me something initially, I can be a little hesitant or be like, no, it's all right. And then I realize, wait a minute. Well, he visited a couple weeks back, and he said, yeah, I got this 40 gig SSD. It's a spare lying around. Would you like it? And I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. I don't need it. It's a small drive, whatever. Then I thought, wait a minute, he's offering me a 40 gig SSD. What are you doing, Rob? So of course next day I said to him, you know what, on second thought, I'll take you up on that. Yeah, I will take the 40 gig SSD. Thank you very much. Now, the idea being, no, it's not going to be, again, for storage. And when I say that, what I mean is you have your operating system on your SSD, and for your movies, data, files, games, pictures, music, video, all that, you store that on your bigger, regular hard drive. So anyways, yeah, he sent me the 40 gig, and interesting enough, well, it's encased in here, obviously. It's a Kingston, but interesting one about this, it's a model that didn't have trim support. If you don't know what I'm talking about with trim, basically it is now what you use on SSDs instead of defragging. It's the equivalent, pretty much, of defrag, but for SSD drives. You don't want to use traditional defragging on an SSD. It's needlessly puts wear on the SSD, so you don't want to do that. But trim is what you now use. I forget what that stands for. You can look it up. Just Google SSD and trim. You'll get all the information you need. But basically, Windows 7 will enable trim by default when you install an SSD, in most cases. There is an actual command that you can use to check to make sure that trim is functioning once you install your SSD as your boot drive. But anyways, long story short, in here is a Kingston drive that did not support trim. Long story short, it was actually manufactured by IBM. It's actually one of, IBM? IBM? Microsoft? Yeah, I think IBM. Basically, they allowed Kingston to put their name on it. So what you were able to do basically is, although Kingston didn't provide the proper firmware upgrade, you could actually, there's ways of going about it, I forget all the details, but basically you can install the IBM firmware upgrade, which then gives it the feature of having trim support enabled on that drive. So that's what's in here. And as a bonus, he gave me this case. It's a nice external USB 2.0 portable case. That's what the drive's in now. I'll be taking it out of there, and he gave me the cords to go along with that. Regular SATA cables, and for an external SATA cable, and power connector, everything you need basically to use this USB 2.0 case right here with a 2¼ inch hard drive. So I'll be taking it out of there, and what I'll be doing is, in my Toshiba laptop, this thing's about 5 years old. It's an old satellite Toshiba laptop. I do not use it for video editing. I do not use it for gaming. Oh God, I don't use it for gaming. But as it stands, it came with Vista originally, which since then I've installed Windows 7 32-bit on it. I got 4 gigs of RAM in there. It's not the fastest processor. Basically, it's used as a second machine when my desktop is in use. So pretty much that means browsing the internet and maybe watching YouTube videos, pretty much. Occasional uploading and downloading. But other than that, again, it's not used for any heavy or resource-intensive tasks. So what I'll be doing is, I've got a currently in there now, I have a 160 gig 2¼ inch SATA drive, and it is your standard traditional drive with platters. I think it's 5400 RPM drive or something. It's not very fast, obviously. And that was the thing when he first offered me this SSD, being a 40 gig. The two things I thought were, well, it's much smaller than the 160 I have in there. So yeah, I wasn't too sure about that. But then I looked at it and I saw that my operating installation, my operating system Windows, wasn't that big even on my laptop. Which again, since I wasn't using it for games or video editing or anything like that, that's not surprising. Funny enough, what I did was the boot drive in my laptop, did a little messing around, some configuring, basically took off every program that I haven't used since the initial install, and brought that sucker down, freed up a lot of disk space, and I made the C partition 40 gig to match the capacity of this drive. And then I went from there and noticed that I actually got it down to the point where I had about 9 gigs of free space still left on the C partition. Now, my point being, when I image that drive, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a Cronus disk image, as I always do, to make an image of my operating system, the C drive, which is on the 40 gig partition with 9 gigs free. And then I'm going to stick this 40 gig SSD in there in its place. Then I will restore my operating system partition, and basically it'll fill the capacity of this 40 gig drive and still leave me about 9 gigabytes free, so for the occasional downloads or whatever. Again, since it's a 5-year-old machine, it's not like I'm going to be, or I had plans to upgrade it any more than I already did. I brought it up to 4 gigabytes of RAM from 2. It's got 32-bit Windows 7 on there, so it's not like I'm going to be adding any more RAM. It's not a gaming machine or a video editing machine, so I won't be adding any more programs. But now, even though there's really nothing much more that I can do to upgrade that 5-year-old laptop, just the speed increase of putting in this SSD, it'll load up faster, it'll shut down faster, it'll come out of standby faster, and just generally feel more snappy and be more of a pleasure to use. And then once I do that, and I have the 40 gig SSD in there, the original 160 gig, I take that out, throw it in this external casing that he also included with the SSD, and I can repurpose it in that manner. Basically, once I've got the Windows 7 up and running on the SSD in my laptop, I'll create a new image of that, back it up to this external drive, and then of course transfer it to my desktop for archiving. That's where I keep my operating system images. So that's it. I hope to show you some of this when I do that. I plan to make a video showing you now, so you understand why would I even bother with a 5-year-old laptop. Well, the 2 reasons I bother is I just love technology. Anything to improve the user experience on a computer or PC, I'm going to go for it. The other big attraction, of course, was, again, thank you, Stuart, it was a free SSD. Come on. And if you have any other questions on why I would bother, I hope to show you some videos before and after of that machine booting up, booting into Windows, shutting down, do some basic tests just to show you the difference between the drive that's in there now and what the difference will be once I put this baby in there. Alright, so that's this unpackaging video for the SSD from Stuart. Thank you very much. That's it for now.